Brie Larson is at it again, clapping back at her critics and letting them live rent-free in her head. I swear the first thing she thinks of when she wakes up has to be the quartering. She just doesn't let it go. But let me go ahead and dive into some stuff that we've seen as of late, and especially we got that tweet yesterday, which I'll go over. There's just a lot of stupid stuff going on with Marvel, and I feel like there's just a lot to talk about. But first, look at this. I mean, some of you guys may have already seen this. This has been making the rounds. But when asked if she will return as Captain Marvel...
How long will you play Captain Marvel for?
I don't know. Does anyone want me to do it again?
Don't be so modest.
I don't know. I really don't know. I don't have the answer to that.
How long will you
So passive aggressive, which is her method of operation. And I'm just glad that this host is an experienced one, because I know as interviewing people and stuff like this, it is just so rude. It's so rude to act this way to someone asking you a genuine question. This guy's doing his job, asking her, how long are you going to play Captain Marvel for? And it triggered her. You can see in her eyes. And then the way that she just glares at him. Look at that. He's even turning his head, and she is glaring. She's got that Karen glare, trying to intimidate him. Just, she's seething. She is seething and trying her best to be flippant about it, which is just absurd. That just goes to show that, she's thinking about the the naysayers that you have quartering. So anyway, yeah, that happened. And then shortly after, which we had this tweet yesterday evening, and she goes, trolls combust, because I guess the Miss Marvel's thing that got announced. And then you have this picture. For some reason, this is going to make trolls combust. For some reason, this is going to make her naysayers go, ah, wait a minute. Whoa. I don't understand her line of thinking with this. And speaking of this photo shoot, not to mention whatever the crap they're doing, I don't even know for sure what that, I haven't watched a lot of the new Disney Plus stuff, so I don't even know what all is going on with this Miss Marvel's merger thing, but I just know it doesn't personally interest me, and this photo shoot has certainly not changed my mind. And when I'm trying to, if you want to own the haters, okay, or own the trolls, would have been nice if they actually had somebody, whoever coordinated this photo shoot. I don't know what the crap they were thinking. And of all the photos they took, these two were the best ones? These were the ones that are like, hey, post it. Perfect. Really? I don't understand. There's absolutely zero coordination going on here. Now, these two actresses are somewhat color coordinated, so that does work. But it's just not like this suit, this blue navy suit with all this, it just doesn't go together. It doesn't work. And I made a quote tweet about this. I was like, a better example of how to style a photo shoot. I feel like their stylist needs fired. The wardrobe and stylist. I mean, K-pop. I'm exposing myself as a a Blink, I think they call it. A Blackpink fan. But come on now. Come on. They know, their stylist here, they know how to pull together a shoot. These girls look incredible. They pull this whole style off in a way that they're not all matchy-matchy, but they all go together so well. Now, something like this has a much better chance of breaking the internet. But this just ain't doing it, okay? Now, I really try to think about how things work, right? I really think about why has the culture of entertainment changed so freaking much lately, to even to the point of like video games and comic books and comic book movies, the MCU. Now, we all know a part of that is the fact that they are trying to push a message. We know that there has been a massive influx of this woke movement going on in the entertainment industry, and as anything keeps growing bigger and bigger, it seems like corruption will seep into it. That's where, in my opinion, like, you got the elites who are puppeteering people and trying to get their message across ultimately. Now, I can be a little bit of a conspiracy theorist, but regardless, there's no industry that's going to especially in the US, that's going to take off at such a dramatic degree, that's not going to have, some sort of influence that's not going to catch the eye of the elites and the powers that be and try to get their grubby hands in it. And I believe that's what happened to the gaming industry, because back in the day, and one reason why I've talked too in the past is saying, or in recent past, about getting more into retro gaming again, is because that's when gaming was fun. And before they had to insert a bunch of politics or social justice or try to push a message in absolutely everything. So things have drastically changed in that regard. One reason is obviously a lot of people who worked in the gaming industry back in the day, it used to be people who were very passionate about video games. Well, now people who are in the industry, a lot of them don't even game. And a lot of them who are self-proclaimed gamers say, oh, I don't even have time to game anymore. It's just not this and that and the other. And they make excuses, but they're not actually that big into gaming. And they only want like little 5-hour gaming experiences. Same with these journalists and stuff. They hate it. They don't even enjoy it. But they care about pushing their message on a huge industry more so than them actually being a fan of it and trying to give people a fun experience. Now, another reason, because obviously that is a big thing, but another reason that just kind of clicked for me, and partially due to some personal experience as well, is look at this. If you do a search on consumer spending, okay, which gender is the biggest consumer? Women. Women drive the majority of purchasing. In fact, women drive 70 to 80% of all consumer purchasing through a combination of their buying power and influence. 70 to 80% is a monumentally huge number. Okay. Now, what really made this kind of click for me, what really made this make me think, was that I had an agency reach out to me, it was about 2 years ago, and say they want to sign me. And I talked to them. I was going to hear them out. I haven't been signed with a manager or agent in a long time because I had one steal money from me, which is, I'm not going to get too much in my personal story. But regardless, I was like, let me hear them out. And one thing that they got back with me on when they looked at all of my analytics and demographics and all that kind of stuff was that you have too many male fans. And my audience is like 95% or more male on all my platforms. That's how it is. This is a combination of things. I'm not gonna not be self-aware. I'm self-aware that some of it is because I'm a girl and some men think I'm attractive and they enjoy watching for that reason. That's a bonus or whatever. But another huge reason, which I think is one of the more predominant reasons, because let's face it, there's all kinds of content creator girls who are prettier than me who don't have as much of a male base. I think one of the biggest reasons, though, is that I grew up a tomboy. I click really well hanging out with dudes and just nerding out with dudes. And so that's one reason. That's one of the bigger reasons, okay? But regardless, that's a whole other discussion, was this huge push that they said, we want to switch this on its head. We want you to have 90% female audience. And I said, look, I've cultivated this audience over a decade. There's no way that I'm just going to completely shift that over, even if I wanted to, because I know from my own experiences out in the wild, out in real life, I honestly get a lot more shy around girls than I do around guys, because I'm not used to having like a whole ton of girlfriends, and I don't relate as much. I grew up with two brothers, so I relate more to guys. And so usually if I have friends who are girls, they're somewhat embedded in the nerd space, or they're nerdy, or they're tomboys as well. So that's usually the case. But regardless, like I was saying, and enough about talking just about my experiences, is just this is one reason why I do feel like there's such a huge shift, is that Marvel and even video games and stuff are trying to appeal to women because that is where the money is at. And so they're taking a bit of a hit initially for a long-term goal of attracting a female audience. I think that's one reason why we've seen She-Hulk operate the way that it has. You see this Miss Marvel's thing. But what they fail to realize is that women actually like a lot of things that men like. Okay? Look at this photo shoot. This is, I can see how this would appeal to the male gaze, quote, but women love it too. I mean, the K-pop has just a massive amount of female fans and such, like, so women, this is, whenever they do stuff like this to try to appeal to women, and when they take these kind of angles of taking these actresses and, you know, putting them in these kind of outfits, without trying to style them up to be as pretty, quite frankly, quite bluntly, as pretty as something like this, to where they are definitely, you know, trying to make them look as attractive as possible and really styling them to really accentuate just how these are beautiful girls. I think they're so scared of threatening other women, and that's why we have this kind of situation, and that's why we also have the situation with Lara Croft as well, is that they are so scared of threatening women, and they think that women can't see something like this without being insecure, and that's honestly really telling about what they think about women, and pretty offensive about how they view women. Now, when I'm thinking about back in the glory days when they actually had good stuff in entertainment and in video games, look at classic Lara Croft, who has that very intimidating, curvy hourglass figure, and she's hyper feminine, hyper beautiful, hyper sexy in a way that is unrealistic and unattainable. And so in a lot of people's minds is they are appealing to those who are threatened by that. But the majority of women, I would say, aren't, because you look at classic Tomb Raider that had the first Tomb Raider game had a 40% female player base according to IDUS, which is massive, especially for that time. I mean, there's no way that even with the current games they've reached that, even though they're trying. And I think what these big corporations fail to realize is that women aren't, your average woman isn't nearly as fragile as your blue hair on Twitter. Your average woman is going to be perfectly okay seeing women like this, and they're gonna like them. They're gonna be like, wow, look how great they look, you know? They're inspired by that. I know I'm speaking a lot by myself as well. And then with characters and power fantasies and female characters, you know, we like the gorgeous, being gorgeous is part of the power fantasy, right? So we like that. And so whenever I see them uglify a female character or make her more average or make her relatable, that doesn't make me want to play a game with her or watch a movie, a superhero movie, I should say. Now, obviously, with regular dramas or anything that's supposed to be real, it's a different story, but still. And so this is what they think women want. You also look at one game that had a massive female following was Gears of War. The original Gears of War had a massive female following. That's a game you would never in a million years think that women would like, with how gratuitously violent it was, and how for the first game especially it was just, you know, it was a bunch of bros, a bunch of dudes just doing their dude thing. It was a sausage fest. You had Anaya, but she was more of like, you know, in the background. She wasn't deep in there, and she wasn't a playable character or anything. So women still loved that. And so what these big corporations need to realize is that whenever they pull stuff like this is only appealing to a certain portion of women. This is appealing to a portion of the blue hairs, the social justice Karens. This is who it's appealing to. Not most of us. And so this is why we're stuck with a bunch of this crap. So I kind of went on a tangent on this video. It's supposed to be just about Brie, but anyway, yeah. So she thinks this is breaking the internet, apparently. And it does get a lot of traction, but you know, this is where Twitter doesn't even reflect real life, because you constantly see this. You'll see stuff like this get 80,000 likes on it. Like on my Lord of the Rings video as well, with the shirts. You saw them trying to sell these shirts that talk about everyone is included, all that. Dude, these tweets were having like 80,000 likes. I don't remember the exact numbers, but it was like that and higher. Just a monumentally massive amount of likes and retweets. And people in the comments like, yeah, this is great, blah, blah, blah. But then when you actually saw the shirt sales, it was like 100 shirts. The ROI on that is abysmal. It is abysmal. Like less than 1,000 shirts sold the last I checked, which is after several hours that was all up. Do you realize for that amount of traction, those numbers are terrible? There are content creators with 20,000 followers who can sell 1,000 shirts. You know, it really depends. But ultimately, yeah, that's just a terrible turnover rate. But I could go on and on about this. Anyway, there you have it for this video. Thank you all so much for hanging out with me today. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Also, I do want to give a shout out to everybody who's been giving super thanks. I am so sorry. I can't see them. I've had someone reach out to me and was like, I left you a super thanks. You didn't say thank you. That's how you lose subscribers. Blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, I didn't even know. I have super thanks enabled, but when I look on the app at my comments, they don't show up as highlighted as a super thanks. And I can't find on my YouTube studio how to even look at super thanks comments or super thanks in general. So if anybody has any insight on that and they know how, feel free to let me know. For everybody who has been leaving super thanks on the videos, thank you so much for doing that. I appreciate you. Even though I can't totally tell right now, I will try my best to figure that out and get back with you. But anyway, thank you all so much for hanging out with me today. I'll see you next time. And in the meantime, go boom.
I wanna be